Hey, guys, and welcome to another WFM Tipsy Thursdays. I am your show host, Wanita Coy, the contact center whisperer, the CEO and founder of Solaro Consulting. And I'm super excited to be with you guys this week because this week's topic we're talking about what is CCaaS? What is CCaaS and what is the impact to WFM? This week we have the amazing Manoj with us breaking down all things CCaaS and the impacts on WFM. So let's hop right in. Manoj, thank you so much for being my guest with me this week. I'm super excited to dive into these juicy topics. But first, before we do, tell the people a little bit more about yourself. Who are you? When did you first, the question I really want to know, when did you first discover workforce management? Why did you fall in love with it?
Yeah, so good. So thank you so much for having me today. So first of all, this is a great opportunity to at least uncover a few new things, and so I'm really excited about having me at the show. So let me give you some story back. Like way back in about 12 years back, I was exposed to CCaaS, and there I started my first project itself asked me to really visit a call center, really visit a contact center and talk about and understand the customer needs. And that's where I got the WFM exposure because
Mm.
it was pretty much an acronym at that time: workforce management, workforce optimization, lots of acronyms floating around. But that was my first exposure, real life experience right inside a contact center. And I can talk more about it, but that's my first journey. CCaaS became more of a contact center as a service or a customer care as a service later on when cloud came in. But contact center, WFM, always hand in hand.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. So you discovered workforce management through working in CCaaS and having to go into the contact center. So let's talk about that. When we think about, first of all, break down for the people, what is CCaaS and how does it tie into workforce management?
Yeah, so CCaaS, as you know, everybody knows, is essentially offering a customer care service more as a service, which means you're actually offering customer care software, the solutions, but it's all hosted in a cloud, right? So cloud is all well known. You're offering a solution, it's a service, it's hosted in cloud. And so here is a complete story of customer care in cloud. And so that's CCaaS. But WFM is workforce management, and it's actually a very pivotal piece of that CCaaS story. And the reason why sometimes it's not really getting that exposure or that attention is because CCaaS, as you know, is delighting the customer. You are actually improving customer experience. You want to make sure that customers are all excited and their journeys are well understood. We get to know the customers better. We make them happy. But very often, which I've seen when I visited the real contact center, was that okay, I'm talking about delighting the customers, but what about delighting my workforce who are
Mm.
actually working on a daily basis, who are actually taking the phone calls, who are actually, you know, working through the digital channels, talking to the customers, handling their problems, or addressing something, or even doing a collections call, or launching a campaign. So I think the WFM piece is more about delighting the workforce, delighting the people who actually work in that contact center, while CCaaS is all about delighting the customers.
Mm.
So that's how I kind of put the two really nicely on two different buckets.
Yeah, that's a really interesting and unique perspective to think about it from. It's thinking about, I'm a big advocate for employee experience. And so I'm always talking about EX. Without an EX strategy, your CX strategy is trash. Like people can finish that sentence for me now.
Absolutely.
And so I love how
Absolutely.
you've tied workforce management to CCAS and the importance of it. Leads me into my next question, Manoj. What is a myth or a common mistake that people make when working with CCAS?
So I think one of the big things, as we clearly defined CCaaS and WFM, is that CCaaS is all about delighting the customers, right? Making the customers happy. What you need to do, and the back office part of CCaaS, is to make sure your operations are running fine as well. Only
Mm.
then you would be able to do that, make the customers happy. So I think the biggest myth around CCaaS is that if you make the customers happy, your job is done. And
Ah.
I think the myth is that needs to be debunked. The myth here has is you delight the customers. You also have to make sure that the customers follow you. You actually get their feedback. You use that feedback to grow your employees, to make your workforce better, to operationalize in a better way. So it's not that you just make the customers happy, you actually make yourself happy as well, learning from that,
Yeah.
right? So if customers are saying something that, hey, this is how we would like to see things happen, show me that you did act on it and you did make your workforce happy about it.
Yeah, bringing it
It's
full
like the close.
circle. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna say full. It's, as you were talking about it, I just kept seeing, like this full circle, right? Like, yes, we're delighting the customer, but we're using that feedback down to our employees to make sure that they have the information readily at their fingertips. Why? So that they can be able to best serve the customer. It's like this full circle that just continues to keep happening, and I think when we think about the connection or intersectionality between CCaaS and WFM, that's what we're talking about, right? Give me a tip or a strategy then that companies should be employing when they're employing or deploying rather their CCaaS strategies or solutions.
Yeah, so I'll give you a very profound example because I worked in 911 industry, emergency
Mm,
calling and life and safety services. Everybody knows life and safety is very important. You have to make sure that 911 calls go and terminate in the right way. Public safety is very important. The emergency responders respond in the right way. But have we ever thought as to how a public safety answering point really works? How does a call handler in those centers who are actually dealing with emergency situations, very very stressful, how are they handling that, right? I mean,
yeah,
what is their life and how is their
yeah.
desktop looking like? They have a CCaaS platform as well, but they have 6 or 7 screens. One screen is giving them location, the other is giving them routing or calling information, the termination idea. Should I call the police or should I call hospital? Should I call fire department? So besides the traditional workforce management pieces of staffing and scheduling and rostering and everything on that, there is also an experience side of workforce or employee experience side of the
Yeah.
call handler. He or she has to deal with like 7 or 8 screens just to get different pieces of information coming in.
Yes.
And I think I was very very I would say amazed to see the due diligence and the work and the hard work that 911 workers are putting in handling such calls with a limited set of tools and resources, and getting overwhelmed with every call that is coming into them, which is a very very high stress call, right? Nobody calls them for any happy situation. So you call 911 only in emergency situation. And hats off and kudos to the staff which is working there in handling such situations. And how do they really get their WFM pieces in place? I mean, you absolutely have to look at the scheduling and staffing piece, but also why are we not paying attention to making their lives easier,
Yeah.
right? In terms of information, in terms of screens, in terms of technology coming in at their desktop, given that we have a lot of technology available. So I feel that WFM needs absolutely 100% attention now. This is an area where I haven't really seen any big playbooks yet that somebody would say, look, this is how I delight my employees. This is how I delight my workforce. This is how I have my playbook ready for workforce. There are tons of playbooks ready for customer experience, delighting the customers using AI, but very few frameworks ready on WFM. So I'm excited about the work that you are doing and your company is doing in offering that kind of expertise, and also looking at these topics and maybe making it more better from operational aspect.
So good. I mean, so many nuggets you just dropped there, right? Like, it's so true because when you're thinking, I stay near and dear. I keep the agent population very near and dear to my heart because if you know my story, I started off on the phones as a teen mom in the call center, and so agent experience is super important to me because I believe it does shape ultimately and impact the customer experience. But not only because of that, but because we are talking about people. right? Like you just
Right.
said, that
Right.
that employee experience of having to pull up 5 different screens. Like you need a better, you need a better process and a better technology, so that that human experience, being the employee, right? They can be able to serve better, which is why I'm always saying, without an employee experience strategy, your CX strategy is trash. Because as an employee, if I have
Exactly.
50, 11 million screens to pull up to get to an answer, what do you think the customer is doing? They're holding, they're waiting until I get
Yeah.
the answer. And so if again, customers or the customer is holding for forever because the agent has 50,000 screens to pull up, I guess what the customer is doing? They're holding, they're waiting. They're potentially even looking at up your competitor, go to your competitor. So I love the conversation. I love that point around employee experience. Thank you so much,
Absolutely.
Manoj, for taking the time to connect with us. What is something else? I know you have tons of information. Give me your, if you had to leave us with a final thought, what would that be?
I would have one good thought, which is, on top of everybody's mind, AI, right? So here is my, you know, speech on that. AI is not human. We know that, right?
Mm,
AI is not human. We deal with humans, right? Customer centers, call centers deal with humans. And guess what? Where are humans? WFM and humans are tightly locked, right? We are the people who are actually going to make the difference. And all this idea around AI being scary, or it can affect, or it can take up the jobs, or CX is going to change. If we were paying attention to WFM, if we were paying attention to the idea of taking care of agents with humility, with transparency, with
mm,
trust, with empathy, these things would not have been scary at all.
mm,
So WFM is not going to be drastically affected by AI if the customer care centers, if the CCaaS vendors, if the CCaaS solution providers had paid attention to empathy and humility and trust and transparency. This is not an issue. This is actually a good thing, so that you bring efficiencies. So
yeah,
nothing to worry about. AI is not human. That's the key.
yeah. AI is not human. That's a whole bar right there. You can just drop the whole
Yep.
mic right there. I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Sure.
much, Manoj, for taking the time to come hang out with us on WFM Tipsy Thursdays. Man, that was so epic. I mean, Manoj came through
Good.
and gave us all the chef's kiss, all right, around CCAS, how it's impacting WFM, AI. He even talked through AI and how, if we're paying attention, that's the thing. If we're paying attention and having humility and having all of these different elements, I don't have to rehash. Y'all heard, you heard what Manoj said, okay? To find Manoj, okay, make sure you check him out on LinkedIn, okay? And I'll also be linking to the other places that you can connect with him. Again, until next time, go be great and let's make impact. See y'all soon. Bye.